This is the Realty Classroom Podcast, episode number 105, Balancing Service and Profit Hunting. Are you a real estate agent with an entrepreneurial spirit who wants to turn your job into a business without sacrificing your lifestyle, but you just can't seem to find the right plan to help you get there? Well then, hey, you're definitely in the right place. I'm Danny Griffin, the founder of the Realty Classroom and the host of this podcast. Now, I want to help you get started in a better strategic, intentional direction by giving you access to a free jumpstart course. It's good for rookies, veterans. I teach it to everybody and I use it. It's just a wireframe, right? Humor me. Go get your copy. It's over at freeagentgift.com. Freeagentgift.com. There's a nice infographic. If you do nothing else, download that and put it up on the wall and you'll see how our business works in one infographic, okay? All right, so let's get started. I want to talk about this dilemma. And I guess this is something I have to get off my chest as a coach, that you're always trying to balance when you're teaching and coaching and doing for that matter, but you're trying to balance this servant's mentality, but not forgetting to make a profit, right? This is a business. And small business is ruthless, as we are fully aware. There's always that shadow. I teach my coaching members that there's that shadow that you don't know what to expect. You don't know where it's coming from. You don't know what it is. And as of the recording of this episode, we are in the throes of COVID-19 that just came out of seemingly nowhere and put big challenges not only in our business, but the entire world. So things like that can happen. And so you have to be building a business, and you're all business people. You know that, right? Let me just repeat that theme. We're independent contractors. Whether you hang your license at another independent contractor housing spot like a brokerage, or you own your own, doesn't matter. Nobody's coming for you. This is your business. And when the shadow comes, you're fully responsible for it. So why not start building it in advance of that so that you're out in front of the alligators who like to lick our ankles and chase us around, right? The idea is, how do you start? That's why I offer that freeagentgift.com, because one of the greatest things that I learned was from Michael Gerber to ask myself the question, how does the real estate agency business really work? So when you look at it, there are some very clear things that we have to do to be profitable, to build a solid business, to protect ourselves down the line. So we need to do them, and we need to do them from the start, or we need to reset. A lot of top producers out there, by the way, don't be fooled by them. A lot of them are losing money, close to losing money, always running away from bills. I know, I was in that position before I started to get more strategic. We're always chasing something. But the best thing is to take a breath, calm down, and let's figure this out together, okay? Because I am super service oriented. It weighs heavily on my heart. If there's one thing that I want on my tombstone, even though I want to be mashed up and sprinkled all over some nice places, it would be, he was a person for others. That matters to me. That is my why. That's why I'm here. So when you look at that, that's very service oriented. It's very giving. And immediately when you really buy into that, there's a conflict that wells up inside of you. And that is, well, how can you be so much about others, but yet be profitable and capitalistic and running towards always trying to make the business better? And it's a good question. And for a long time, I struggled with it, but now I get it. I really get the power of giving correctly. So let me go through what I learned and share it with you. The first point was this I love simple formulas, as you know, if you've listened to this podcast before. This very simple formula of the story brand, or the story formula. And it's the way a story is told formulaically, strategically, meaning movies are built on this. And you've probably heard me talk about this before, but I'm going to show you how this comes into to balance both the service and the profit. If you servant and the profit, I like that. Should have named this podcast Servant and the Profit. So when you have that mentality that you are looking at a story brand, there's the hero of the story. And see, you would think for a second, well, I'm supposed to be the hero, right? And so I go out there and I save people. I get that. I get why would we think like that, but I tell everybody that knows me that I am the real Batman, right? And so, but really, where is Batman going to be without anybody to help? So how can Batman really be the hero? He does some heroic things seemingly, but really the hero of the story is why the story even exists. It's somebody else. So I love that. That really helps us say, well, if these major stories and movies can be successful with this formula, can business be? It's a simple question you ask yourself, and I think the answer is absolutely yes. In fact, I think it's the clue as to how to run a successful business. Because if you're always trying to be the hero, sometimes people feel good about that, but you know what people care about? Themselves. Everybody wants to feel like the hero. So what if you and your business could be that person that makes them feel that way? Wouldn't it just make sense that over time, you'd be building something that was greatly appreciated? In business, they call that goodwill. That's what it's called. In fact, sometimes companies that are so good and nobody can quite put their finger on why are they getting such a premium when they sell, it's called goodwill. Right? It's that extra value because a culture has been created so uniquely that it's super valuable. And the business in itself now has crossed some Rubicon where now it's just so magnetic. People don't even know why they come, but they come to it and do business with it because it's so trusted. Goodwill. So the story formula teaches us that. It says, look, enter the hero of the story. In our case, how does the business work? Well, first of all, it's the seller. The greatest hero in our business is the seller, because without the seller, there is no listing, there is no inventory, there is no MLS marketplace. So what would the buyer do? It would be more chaotic. So the main hero of the real estate story is the seller. I'm not saying that the buyer doesn't play an equal heroic role, because in every transaction, there's two sides, right? But that's the basics of how the business works. We want to teach all these esoteric, higher level or microeconomic subjects in real estate, and we just miss that one thing. Michael Gerber, the way that this business works is that we have inventory that goes into a marketplace. We call it the multiple listing service. There's a national association that keeps that in a semblance of order. And then there are all these places across the country that house this inventory. And that allows us to broadcast it, market it to other agents. And now, because of really simple syndication, RSS feed, it goes out to the world. Buyers see it directly. They call their agent or call the listing agent, and off we go. That's how it works. Boom. See how quickly I went through that so I couldn't let you think all about it and say, oh, well, but no. That's the basic part of our business and how it works. That's the mechanism. So now we see the seller hero and we see the buyer hero. Now, in business, businesses are created to solve problems, or even create a solution to one we didn't know we had. Like, for example, Apple, one of the greatest, most powerful companies in the world right now. They didn't really solve a problem per se. They just created an easy to use implement like the Mac, which became the MacBook and then the Mac Air and all these great things. And then it's on your wrist and it's in your hand. And so they just created these things that made life easier for the hero consumer. See where I'm going with this? So that's a products company, mostly. I mean, they have a service component too, but it's mostly a products company that they made a product for the hero of the story, us, the consumer. Same thing with Google. They made their Android. I'm not trying to pick one company versus the next. I'm just trying to make the concept in your head hold true, that enters this hero who has a problem that maybe they don't even know about, okay, and there's an opportunity, but you're solving it. So there's where business exists. That's where the real business moment comes in. Aha, I can play a role. So when it comes to home selling and home buying, the problem is it's not easy to do that. Let that sink in. All these for sale by owners, most of them knew the person to a large extent that sold it. And even those that didn't, how do they even know they did that well? Because they're outside of the marketplace going it alone for whatever reason. The majority of the way homes are sold is in this mechanism of this marketplace where buyers and sellers come together and they're assisted by, enter the next person, the guide. See how it goes? Pretty simple. Buyer, seller come in. They're about to go through one of the single largest financial and emotional transactions most people make in a lifetime. Well, that's going to cause a few problems that could be solved. Wouldn't you say, folks? So enters the guide, who's the service guide, somebody who's going to serve them by guiding them through the home buying and home selling process. See, a lot of times people get confused by language too. Well, I sell houses. Yeah, I guess so. I guess that's a byproduct of what we do. But I guide somebody on how to properly prepare their property for sale, go through the process, and make sure we get to the end of the process. That's guidance before it's selling anything. I guess at the very end, there's a closing and a sale takes place. And again, I'm dancing on the head of a pin with language here, but I'm trying to really open your eyes and change your perspective to what you are. You are the guide. You are a service guide. Okay? So the story formula tells us that we can come in with this guide. And now my body of work here at the Realty Classroom, and that's why I tell you start at freeagentgift.com, is because I'm trying to teach you how to now, as a guide, have a plan. Stop trying to serve these people without a plan. The plan can be super uber basic. I use a very basic seller plan, very basic buyer plan. And I teach that to the highest level agents that are out there because it is not about us. You look at me, oh, I already know all that. Yeah, you sound like the hero, don't you? Gotcha. Let me repeat that for all my top producers. I already know this. I know everything he's talking about. And I got all this, that's me. I'm that goofy voice. That's my inner goof, okay? I sounded like that for a long time to myself. But see, once you see that this person is coming to you to sell or buy, I don't care how smart they are too, by the way. They don't do what we do every day. So when you first introduce guidance, you better keep it 5th grade level simple so that they have some empowering feeling that you, the guide, gave them a clue as to the big rocks in the jar that are going to have to be dealt with along the way. Now, if they want to or are interested in the micro of how those things are done, wonderful. There you are to discuss them then. But that's your job as a guide. You don't have to reveal every little thing that you're doing to somebody as long as you empower them with the plan. So there's the third beat. So we have the heroes, okay, who have a problem. Enter the guide, and we go to that fourth one now with the plan. And of course, if we have the right plan and we're a good match with the people we're guiding, we have this wonderful outcome where a closing takes place and money comes back in. And that's the value. Got it? So now we have these couple of points here. Balancing service and profit. We look at the story formula to remind ourselves what role we're about to play, which is the guide, and that we need a good plan. Okay? And that we make it all about those other people. But we arrive at this point here where you can give and give and give, and I learned in the digital age especially to give your best stuff for free, but I'm giving that intentionally and professionally. This is not per se a charitable organization, right? It's a profit-driven. See, there's a difference between nonprofit. I am really trying not to be driven by a profit motive. But in business, I am. So they both can give and maybe equally as powerfully. But the intent, you hear me? The intent is to turn a profit doing this and to do it as professionally as possible so that the people feel a fair exchange of value has taken place, that they have not been taken advantage of. And I'm telling you, it's not only possible, it's critical. And you need to behave that way if you want to build one of these sustainable, predictable businesses that is ready for whatever challenge comes its way. So that point there was to give of your service and your guidance early on for free, where there is no exchange of money. You're giving it intentionally with the thought that if you give it at that stage away for free better than anybody else, the intent is that you can magnetically draw that person into relationship of trust because you are acting professionally. And that's what the true consummate pros do. They give service and guidance along the way until somebody moves through the stages of lead to prospect, where they're leaning in more and they're more listening to just you, and you have that opportunity, to client, where there's a commitment. See how easy this is? If you just change your perspective. Now, I want you to understand that this is a very profitable formula. I use it in my own brokerage. It's the best business I've ever had because it's so freeing to not feel like you have to, chase business and be transactional. You can magnetically attract it. Same principles. I'm still as aggressive as I ever was, but in such a different way. I'm more an aggressive guide on behalf of those people who really want me to be their leader in this case, right? And that's the crazy thing about guidance. It's leadership. The hero needs to be led through the guidance and the plan so that we can get to the other side. So it's leadership. There's no shrinking violet in this formula. Now, of course, everybody does that guidance differently. I might sound like I have a little bit more testosterone in my voice when I'm explaining it, and I might be a little bit more aggressive. But remember, I always tell you, if you hear me in a teaching context like this, I'm always more aggressive because I'm battling your paradigm, and I have to get up, and the energy has to be there, and the state has to change. But if I'm guiding somebody who trusts me, and I know that, I will slow it way down for them if I feel that my pace is too fast. You see, I know with my plan that I'm going to go A through Z with everybody. But I'm going to be able to, because I'm following a plan, gear shift for the hero to give the hero of my story a way to go through this so that they feel like it was their experience, their process. So if I have a high C personality on the DISC personality profile that wants to talk about T's being crossed, I's being done, then I'm going to do that. I'm going to slow it down. And the good news is by following a clear plan, I'm not making something up. I'm just going, oh, you wanted to dive a little bit deeper into the particulars about marketing. Let me talk to you about syndication marketing versus push marketing. Let's break that down. Let me show you some examples where somebody else says, dude, do what you're going to do. Just get me home on this thing. I have those types of conversations all the time. Same hero to me, to the extent that the plan is going to be the same for them, but very different humans that need a very different experience to go through it. It's just so much more fun and liberating to be following a formulaic approach like this that is intentional. And by being intentional, it becomes far more professional. See, a lot of people will sort of muscle their way through transactions and, oh, I was so nice to that person and they were so nice back to me, and we have this touchy-feely way about us. And then sometimes we wonder, well, why did they cheat on me? Why did they go somewhere else? Because you didn't have a clear plan for them. They liked you. But again, that's what I'm saying, the difference between real charity where you're just sort of doing it hobbyistically, where this is your living, guidance is your living, you better compete. And you better be clear what your plan is versus somebody else's so that you can empower somebody to make a decision on your behalf or not, right? And the last point here is I want to have you understand that this whole giving funnel is profitable, but I want to explain it as a funnel. When you first start with somebody, you're trying to identify in your marketplace, narrow your market down, narrow the price range, narrow the places you'd like to help. And again, I always recommend start with the seller hero, will you please? If you want to have a profitable business, you got to get some listings. That's for sure. Okay. And now you can identify those people, and whether it's via social media, your own sphere of influence, intentional marketing to talk to sellers, expireds, FSBOs, probates, etc., whatever. Now you get into giving away generally until you have what's called engagement. Hello, social media. Engagement, where you can give a little bit more. They begin to lean in. You start to give a little bit more about their specifics and how to help them get prepared. You share a copy of your plan with them. And now we're on the precipice of creating clients. That's a funnel, folks, right? That's a giving funnel. And it's moving people from lead to prospect, where they're leaning in further and giving you more of an individualized chance to win, client where they decide on you, and closing where the monetary value is exchanged. Pretty sweet, huh? All right, let me go back and cover this. Balancing the service and profit hunting. I get it. It's tough when it first hits you, and you're trying to make a semblance of order. Some people are super profit oriented and get too transactional. Some people are just saying, I don't want to be that guy or gal, and they lay off. They both matter. So start with the story formula, realizing they're the hero, not us, we're the guide. And remember that guidance is a competitive business, so you're going to have to win. So you don't just give without being, the third point, intentional and professional, knowing that what that means is that I'm going to intentionally give to you, so you keep moving along the last point, my funnel. And I don't need that many people to move along the funnel to begin to build a predictable, stable business, all right? So I'd summarize it this way. In the real estate guidance business, many agents feel the conflict between giving away too much and being too aggressive and taking too much. It's kind of a strange place, right? But the solution is rooted in an understanding that real estate guidance is a profession that actually has a monetary value that gets returned easily when the guidance has been given intentionally and professionally. All right, now remember, I'm going to say this again. I'm always trying to help you. Remember, you can take immediate action and get started in the right or a better strategic, intentional direction by going to freeagentgift.com. If you can't stomach me walking through each piece of it on the PowerPoint as you get those things, because that's what's there, at least download the infographic, put it up there, and begin to think this way strategically. Okay. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you might be listening so that you don't miss out on any of these insights each time we upload an episode. These insights come straight from my highest level coaching program, by the way, and we chunk them up and give them. So we also broadcast our live sales training calls. So if you're really saying, okay, this is good, it's strategic, but I got to make some money. Good. Come listen to the way we talk about the real heat of the sale, meaning that telemarketing sale to get us in the house, that in the field listing presentation to get us there, how we work with buyers. That happens live on Saturday. I'll be okay. That happens live on Fridays at 1 o'clock EDT. You can watch it on Facebook or YouTube for free. Just go turn on the notifications for the Realty Classroom and you won't miss the reminders. We'd also appreciate it, please, if you would share this content with other entrepreneurial, spirited real estate agents just like you so that they get the help they need. Hey, you know what? If you're a broker owner or you're a team leader and you're listening to this, how come you're not sharing it with your agents or even stealing it from me with my permission? Go steal it from me and build some conversation around this so that you're working on things that actually help agents build a better business. All right? Hey, thanks for listening. Remember what I always say here. Nobody's coming for you. So go get to work on your own business, and I'll see you in the next episode.